I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us. So how you been this week?
Good. It's been a good week. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's always shit happening. Like, what are we talking about? Is it a good week? Is it a bad week? We live in America, and we kill people all around the world.
Lord have mercy, man. I had a really good week.
Good.
You know, I deal with a lot of schools and children, and I had a speaking engagement at Garfield Academy in New Jersey, and shout out to Principal Lance. He's a dope principal, and I sat with these young kids. And the school is amazing. Like the school, it's like, you know how they talk about. So what it is, they actually have a store where this is a class. They have a barbershop that's a class. They have a restaurant that's a class. They have all these things where these kids get to take those as classes. And they
like
work
using their real experiences.
Exactly. And they work in those stores and they work in them. And it's dope. The whole environment is dope. And it was a lot, you know, I think it's a lot of at-risk youth in there. Some of them. One of these kids probably was 14, told me how he just got shot last year 4 times. You know, and another kid, 4 times. And another 15-year-old kid, his father was, you know, in the streets and got murdered. His mother died from cancer. So he was dealing with a lot. It was just so many different little issues, but they were really attentive, you know, and I felt like I connected with them, you know, because my story is similar to a lot of theirs. And just breaking down certain things, you know, talking to them. And at the end, they all came up to me. They took pictures with me. They took my phone and made me follow them on Instagram. And, you know, it was a real, like, touching moment for me. And the biggest thing was, at the end of the day, when I was about to leave, the principal called me in his office and said, hey, 2 guys that have been fighting all year, they probably had about 4 or 5 fights. You know, they want to sit here and resolve their issues while you're here. You know, based off what you said, and it inspired them and motivated them to want to squash the beef. And, you know, they sat down like 2 young men, probably, I think they're like 16. And one guy just admitted that he created the situation. You know, he was misinformation, miscommunication. He attacked the guy based off something. And the guy said, yeah, I didn't even know what that was. And at the end, you know, they both said their piece and they dapped it up. You know, and they gave each other a hug, and he was like,
beautiful.
And I know, and it made me feel like this is working. You know, a lot of times we have a lot of different situations in this work where I've lost kids that I was just talking to, that I had just mediated situations with, and 2 or 3 days later, they were shot and killed or incarcerated. And you take it hard because you're like, damn, I wasn't able to do something to help them. Or, you know, to save them from making those decisions. But when you actually get situations like this and you see, you know, that in that minute, few minutes that you had with those kids, it transformed the thought process that's been going on for over a year with them. They, like, literally have 4 fights, you know, so.
That's beautiful. And you know what? I would say just one little point on that is, even at 16 years old, if you're paying attention to what's happening in the world, you realize that it really could be do or die. So if you want to live, you even have to have the emotional intelligence to stop the train before it wrecks. Good thing that you're doing here. Just keep pushing it, because, you know, it can be very discouraging sometimes to be out there and have people beat you up. They tell you this, it's a lot, but you keep going, and you know,
I think it's my purpose.
Well, that's absolutely. When thinking about my thought of the day today is around this idea of sobriety. You know, I am really, I don't know if I want to say proud of me, because I don't even know. I really don't have all of the lexicon. I'm literally developing it. 5 years later, I'm writing my first real speech about my process to get sober and what I went through and how I initially got addicted and what was at one point something that I didn't even know was a part of addiction. I had no idea the first time I swallowed a pill that it was a part of an addiction thing. And I certainly didn't understand the political nature of addiction and that there's actual forces working towards, like, I didn't think any of that. I didn't know there was a story and a situation out there in the world that can explain why we're addicted to these pills. So I didn't know so many other people was on it. But now that I'm more educated and now that I'm more confident, right? Now that I've been able to kick shame in the ass about this particular issue and other things. Like, you know what I'm saying? One thing I will say is one of the things that I'm beginning to realize is certain parts of my story I'm not able to tell because other people's lives will be impacted. And I'm talking about things from childhood all the way to now. You don't tell, or you don't want to disrespect or embarrass other people, even your family members and your friends. You want to be mindful. And it's very important that when we start talking about telling our stories, which people are entitled to that we're very careful to know that your time is not everybody else's time. And because I have compassion for that, I'm careful and mindful. But there's lots of components of my life that there are people in the world who believe because they know that I did something or I was a place, what a strip club, slept with this guy, did this thing or whatever. They believe that they're holding something that will just tear me to shreds. And of course, when the truth about your life and things come out, it can hurt you to hear people's opinions and to lose opportunities or to have people don't trust you or don't believe you or don't believe in you, of course. But I've come to know that ripping the Band-Aid off of situations, problems, issues that you've been through can oftentimes provide you with freedom. Freedom to walk forward and deal with whatever it is and kick it up under your feet, right? And so I have disassociated myself with the shame of my story around addiction. I don't have it anymore. I've thrown it out. It's taken years to get there, but I think 5 years of sobriety is a time when you could actually tell the full story and not worry about who feel, who know, who was there, who saw you when you was nodding out, who helped you get the drugs, who didn't, who did this, who. It doesn't matter because now the work that's on me is bigger than me. I have found that disassociating yourself from all of this shame and guilt that holds us down might just be the thing that we need to get free and to have the space to do things right going forward.
Sounds like you have been in deep contemplation and you have really come to terms with you. You know what I'm saying? And just understanding who you are, what you are, and just freeing yourself from all the things that bind you.
My TMI today is we as women, and I saw Amanda Seals talking on her Small Doses podcast about being too much, right? We as women, we do, we talk when we want to. I never forget getting a call from someone very close to me who said, "Oh, women just all day y'all talk. Y'all just don't ever stop telling and doing and directing." But I feel like men don't really, they say, because I've been told by a number of men, you got to say it the right way. You can't just always have an attitude. You need to stop being so this and that and, and nagging, and you have to nurture the right way, and you need to, have a certain type of positivity and this and that, and you could get a man to do anything just with your energy. I have found you could say it nice, you could say it nasty. And the same result that most men do not want to be corrected and or just suggested of a new or better way to do things, period.
I don't think that's true. I think that delivery is everything, right?
I
Because
just said you could say it nasty or
no,
nice.
that's not true. It's not nasty or nice, right? It's the time you say it. It's when you say it. It's how you say
Look at
it.
Janice's
It's where
face.
you say it. All those things come. If you're correct, if a man is in the middle of a speech and he's giving and he's talking around people who are listening to him and he's saying something, and you stop like, no, don't say it that way. Don't say it that way. Say it this way, and you smile.
My son, that's
Right,
not
right.
most. That's
But,
please.
and you stop and you say it. Don't say it this way and you smile. You think that you're saying it nice. Right? What you just did is correct him in front of people that think he knows what he's talking about. Right? So what you did is you lowered a little bit of his his status in front of people. Right? You didn't whisper behind his back and say, yo, if you got a man and you with a man and you saying and something he did something wrong, you rub his back, babe. You know what you should have did? I loved what you did, but imagine
Oh,
if you
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 gotta
added
lie.
this, right?
So you gotta
Imagine
lie.
because it's like you, but it's still a man has an ego. Everyone has an ego. You dealing with a man with an ego, and if you don't care about the man's ego, then fuck it. You can say what you want, but if you want to get the best response from a man, then you have to fill out how do I work with this individual. Right? How do I talk to this man to get the best thing from this man? I know the things he likes, especially if this is a person that you would or you're not with, or somebody that you come through with, somebody that's a friend of yours. You know the things to say to trigger that person. You know the things that he's gonna argue over. You know all of those things. So if you made a decision that you don't give a fuck, you just gonna call him out or you're going to tell him what's right however you want to say it when you want to say it despite how he intakes information, how he best intakes information. Is really like I see women do it all the time. Women have no problem talking to their children, right? Women with children and be like, damn, I wish they talked to me that way. There's no care about what you think. You don't want to bruise the kid's ego. You don't want to stop him. You don't use certain language. You don't use certain words when you speak to him. All these things you're careful about how you give this information to your child because you want him to receive it and you want him to feel empowered after he gets the information. Why don't you think that you should give your
Talk to
man
your man
or
like your child. Absolutely.
but it's the
You
same.
got
It
to
is.
reduce yourself down like you talking to a
You see
kid
what I mean?
in order to communicate with your man
But
or
it's
a
not.
man.
No, but
And so, ladies,
but
my point has been
your
proven
point is
by the
not
man
proven.
himself.
Your point is
God
not
bless.
proven
The guest is
because
coming up.
no. The reality is because you care about how you speak to you. We just want you to speak to us with care.
And I'm saying
It's
that,
a level of care.
but you miss,
What does that mean?
you missed that I told you.
What is wrong for a man to want
But I
a
just want you to
woman that
know.
he feels that is either his woman, his friend, his sister, his anything to speak life into him instead of pointing out the flaws of him, not amplifying the good things. Like a woman told me the other day, you know what? Somebody always points out the bad stuff and never says anything about the good stuff. That's how men feel.
And I'm just saying that I find with a lot of men, when you start trying to say, hey, listen, this needs to be, or let's try to do this, or let me tell you about this thing, it becomes a big problem. That's all. So anyway, we can bring the guest
Okay.
on and see how he can tell us that I'm doing too much too.
Hey, maybe he won't.
We have a brother today who is well respected in many places, but certainly in New York and around the country. I was looking for someone to bond with about my sobriety. 5 years I'm celebrating. I didn't even know if you were supposed to say you celebrating sobriety.
You should.
But,
Why not?
But
It's a celebration.
yeah, well, you
Yeah,
know.
clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
us some
And
TMI
so,
claps. We got to get TMI claps that they just sound dope.
or snaps.
No. Claps.
I love you snap sometimes.
No,
don't
when it's like
when it's good
but
a
it
good
ain't just
word.
like
Yeah, so you could put snaps and
claps.
whatever. But I contacted Erica Ford. I'm like, yo, who do we have that works specifically with people who suffer with addiction, that help to put people in the right direction, help them to detox, help them to get themselves together? And she was like, oh, I said for the podcast. And she was like, oh, no, I know. It's one brother. You have to have him on. Sent me the contact. And then I looked on the page. I'm like, wait a minute. We've been in one another's community for a while, but of course I didn't know the full story. And so I'm happy that you are joining us here today, Brandon Chastain.
That's
little
it.
tang, little
Little
twang
tang
on
on
it.
it. Listen, man, I appreciate the love and the honor, man. It's wonderful being on set with you guys, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I call him B McFly. So you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Is
The
it
Tang and
McFly
the
or
Wang.
MC Fly?
No, B McFly.
It's B McFly. You know, it's my guy. We've had many conversations. Always admire what he does. You know, and it's always been mutual respect. Sometimes we might get on live and debate. You know, over topics, but it's always in love and respect. You know, I've watched him for years in Philly. Just he always created like what I call infomercials, and he always created really touching and passionate infomercials about what was going on in our communities and what was going on in the streets, and just trying to give real life experiences and messages. So I've always been a fan of what he does, and just
Likewise.
constantly seeing him evolve. You are someone that I admire, and I appreciate what you do. And watching your evolution is motivational, inspirational to me, and I know what it means to everybody else. So continue to do what you do.
So y'all be
Thank you.
debating? I didn't know that about that.
It's like it's friendly, brotherly debate. I mean, like I feel like they should see black men speak and have emotional intelligence without getting to a point where now we having a yelling match on live.
And we usually either agree to disagree,
Right.
or we might change each other's perspective. Like, you know what, I didn't see it that way. You
Yep.
might be right, and that's what love is, man. That's what growth
Okay,
is.
That's
well,
what it is, man.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, you know, it's just been a few weeks that I am, in this place where I'm like, wow, 5 years went by fast but slow. It's
Yes.
fast and slow, right? 'Cause
Yes.
it's like, now, and I learned from you. It's been 6 years for you.
6 years, January the 21st. I need all the months.
Right, every
And we got some
minute.
months,
Yeah,
and we got some months with it. You heard?
Yep, March 18th was when I checked into rehab. I don't even remember the day that I checked out. I guess I should look at that because that would actually be but it was the beginning of the journey.
It was the beginning of the
Was
journey.
March 18th. And I never forget my homegirl, Rachel Nordlinger, dropped me off to a place in Ohio. My story, which I have explained to people many times, but I swear every time I post about it, I've been publicly talking about my sobriety for 2 years.
Okay.
Since 2 years in. So 2 years after I went to rehab, I began to talk about it. I was there under an alias, so people didn't know my name except the guy who happened to ask me. He was like kind of, he was just there. They would play. It was only one TV, two TVs that worked. And the one in the kitchen, people watched music videos, sports shows, different things. And one day there was music videos on that my son was not in, but he asked me, "Oh, do you know, it's a guy, he's a great rapper. His name is my son." And he made it like he didn't know if I knew him or not, but I understood when he said that he knew me, and so I was under an alias, but
He peeped
he
he peeped
already
it.
was on it. I think my name was like Marcia or something.
That's wild.
And in fact, I'll be honest with you. Once he gave on or let on to the fact that he knew who I was or who I am, I was ready to leave because he was a young white man, excuse me. And he was younger than me. He might have been 20. We were in Ohio in a house in the woods. So I wasn't in a facility in a building with security and all of that. We were literally in a house. And the story of how I got there was Jason Williams, the NBA All-Star. I knew that he had started treatment programs. I knew that he was specifically dealing with alcohol abuse. We know his story and all the trials and tribulations that he faced. And I called him one day with a hypothetical question like, yo, if you know somebody that has an issue, they have an addiction, what would you tell them to do? And it's funny because when you've been through this, and I know that you can speak to the amount of hypothetical questions you get that are really the person not speaking hypothetically at all, right? I get it all the time. Every time I post, every time I talk about it, I get people. And when I say people, yes, they're just everyday individuals, of course, that reach out. But I'm talking about celebrities, people who are in high places that you would never imagine. Their children themselves are dealing with issues, and they reach out and they ask me, hey, you have any resources? And I always can pick up that this person it's really intimate what they're experiencing. So when I reached out to Jason and I said, do you have any, where could I go, or who can I talk to, or what would you suggest that a person do? He just answered the question like, well, we have resources. You would want to put my people in touch with the person so we could download whatever. Right. So I said, okay, thank you. So I went away. And I would imagine that he sat there and thought to himself, the person is her, and so she ain't gonna put her people in touch with my people. So he wrote me back a few days later and said, hey T, I don't know what your story is. He said, but I'm just letting you know it doesn't get brighter, it gets darker. He said it gets darker. The situation doesn't get better. It gets worse. And then he wrote this line. Yeah, I mean, because it gets, man, I had a friend before that. I was out to dinner with this is when I first started popping pills, and I was sleeping and feeling better and numbing the world out. And I was out with my girlfriends at dinner, and I told them, like, yeah, man, wow, like, and at the time, it was like cool, kind of like you popping some Xannies and some perks. It was kind of cool. So I'm talking about it with these girls, and these are my girls that we done did a little this and a little that together in the past, so I could bring it up. Right. And one of them said at the table, hey, just letting you know, this thing is a dark hole. You need to be mindful. It's a dark hole. So when he said that to me, I'm going to get your reaction.
I'm
when he
listening.
said that to me, he said, and you want to get control over the situation before it takes control of you, in the form of you in a car accident, they find the pills in your car. You go through the airport, you get arrested for smuggling drugs. Mm-hmm. He's like, you want to get control over the situation before it takes control over you. And I sat there with that for a while. But sure enough, I wrote back to him and said, I have a problem and I need help. And that was the beginning.
How long were you on the pills until you finally got the help?
I know that in 2017 and 18 was the worst period of it. Like that's when I was really on. 2019 is when I went in. So 2017 and 18 was the worst time. But I can't trace back, because I think even with the Xanax and other things, like especially Xanax, which Xanax became a backstory. Like that became, because once you start taking Percocets, the Xanax is like, it's just, and I'm going to be honest, and I'll say this to anybody, I'm not ashamed about it at all at this point in my life. So I'm just ready to talk. Whatever you ask me, I can tell you specifically. So, when I think back to when, I believe somewhere in 2016, maybe 2016, is when I first popped the Xanny here and there. I was sort of doing those things just to, taking a Xanax as a part of like my regular party life, like my regular life, regular life. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the abuse and the addiction, because I didn't need the Xanax all the time. That wasn't a thing. But in 2017 and 18, when I started going through some like real life crises, especially political, and that's why they tell you, if you live for the applause, you will die with the booze. And once I started getting booed and people were talking, I was like, what do I do? I've never been in this position before. So, I could talk about this all day, but, in those 2 years, I was in a dark, dark place. And it took me all of 2018 texting back and forth with Jason, having conversations with this one, doing this and that, to actually go. So it's a process that requires patience.
Man, I graduated from Lincoln University 2004, and I got shot immediately after I graduated. Because I knew going to college is like, no disrespect to my school, no disrespect to HBCUs, but at the time when I graduated from high school in 2000, I thought I was going to the 13th grade. People was getting robbed, shot at, fights. I fought a lot in
In
college.
college,
At that time, I'm sure. I'm not saying it's different now, but I'm sure it's
it's
a
a little
lot.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
way better. But coming from that era, and you know, you got people from New York, Philly, D.C., Jersey. Everybody's trying to, the internet wasn't popping, so it's like you. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you still in the mix. And when I graduated with a criminal justice degree, I knew I was going to graduate. It was just too easy. Man, I got shot. I graduated May 2nd, 2004. Got shot July 4th, 2004. And that's when doctors, I say, are black people's worst enemy to a certain degree. Because this man said take as prescribed every 6 hours or as needed. Never gave me the logistics on what did it do to you. You're gonna crave for it possibly. You're gonna want it bad. Man, I took that pill and I said, I wasn't a weed smoker, but I smoke here and there. I drank here and there, but I wasn't addicted to that. I even took ecstasy pills, but I didn't like the after effects of it. When I first took a Percocet, I said, wow, why y'all don't sell these over the counter? I never even heard of these. And then I'm going to say from 2004 to 2018, I was the worst person ever. I was scum. I was a junkie. I was a criminal.
2004
From 2004,
to 2000
18,
wow.
14 years of my life, I was a junkie. I was because it feels so good. I got a bullet in my knee and I'm, healing up, right? So now I'm walking. I'm like, when I take the pill, I'm walking on this. Like, yo, this pill is that powerful. And it made me feel extra, extra, extra confident. Like I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to be I'm not afraid to be even more of me. And then it goes from that to I went from taking pills for the physical pain to taking pills for the mental pain. My father used to sell me pills. And I used to ask myself, I'm giving my father more money for pills than he ever gave me in my life. He knew that it controlled me. I did everything under the sun for my pills except do anything with another man or put somebody in jail. Anything else you could think of, which I'm not going to say I'm proud of or whatever, but I probably did it.
The pills are serious because once you start trying to, but you know this because we've discussed it. I mean, finally, my son and a few other people were really aware of how bad the situation was.
Yeah, it controlled
knew
you.
that I was already, but like they were aware of the depth of it. And when I was trying to explain it, it was like they felt sorry for me because I'm like, I cannot. Period. Just stop taking pills.
No way, because of the withdrawal. You ever had the flu? You ever catch COVID? Or it's 10 times worse than those two combined. My eyes are hurting. My phalanges, my fingertips are hurting. I'm sweating. I'm cold sweats. And it's like it got to the point where I say I would rather die because I'm facing humiliation now. And I don't want to face that. I don't want to let the world know that I need help. So it's like my ego, my pride. It's like, yo, bro, you are a junkie out here. So what? I still don't want to let people know I need help. So every single day I yearned for these pills. I did, boy.
Bruh.
Like, and that's why. And when I went to rehab, when I think about the things that I did to get these pills, and I hear these stories of men giving their bodies to other men because the pills controlled them. And I'm looking back like, boy, you better not laugh because you probably could have been the next one.
Right, it was one more time, one more thing.
Like I'm crazy. 2 seconds away from doing something to the extreme.
Yeah, and then they were worried. He was specifically worried because it was only a few people that knew, but worried about where I was getting this stuff.
And that's
from.
true.
That's a whole other side of the like for me, Tamika Mallory, to be out here, which they were already after me for different
Right,
things. I was
right.
already under scrutiny. And here I'm going, trying to hustle around and have a conversation with this friend and do this, that, and the third to get them
To
damn
get them, yo, and
pills.
you're gonna go to the extreme, right? You're gonna go to defense. Man, I would walk in the rain. I mean, I didn't take shit. See, I was so in debt with it where it's just to the point I just wanted to die, bro. I used to ask God, yo, listen, don't wake me up the next day because I'm
Yep.
no good.
Yep.
Please let me die a high death. Please,
high
man.
death.
A high death. Like, I'm no good to my kids. I'm no good to me because my life is just you went from being a man and getting all the women in college and this and that to now you begging. Yo, bro, let me borrow $20, man. I got you. Yo, B McFly, you don't never be asking to borrow $20, bro. I really need it. And I thought I was cool. And when I look back, I'm like, yo, I'm no good to me. I'm no good to my children. I'm no good to the community. I am scum. God, don't wake me up, please. And every time I used to wake up, I used to be like, yo, I'm up, yo. And now I gotta go. You making me suffer going through this pain over and over and over again. I gotta go through withdrawal. I gotta go through the constipation. I gotta go through every single thing. Why are you putting me through this pain? Oh, your stepfather died. Your mother died. Your father's selling you pills. Why am I going through this?
Damn. So how many times did you actually try to stop
Bro, I tried to stop maybe.
before you actually succeeded?
I tried to stop when I went to jail and I stopped because I'm like, I'm not going in there on the weak shit. And my mind, it's like something went through my body. Like, you're gonna go through something, but you're gonna prepare yourself for jail, right? So I'm gonna say I probably stopped like 3 times, but then once my mother passed away, she had me at 15, so she passed away at 48 years old. She was young. I'm a couple seconds away from being 48, 42. Once she passed away, and once I seen like, yo, listen, my life is going down. She passed away from a drug overdose.
Wow.
My father is selling me drugs, and he was a drug addict. I'm just surrounded with no hope. And I was the only hope. Oh, B. McFly, he went to school, and he this and he that. I'm the only hope. Man, bro, shout out to my kid's mother, my co-parent. She kept fighting for me. She kept fighting with me. She was enabling me too, but she also kept fighting.
All their helpers enable you. And they can't
Yeah.
help it. It's
They
like
don't
you
want to
feel
see you. They don't
sorry.
want to see
Yeah.
you.
They don't want to. I used to
see you
lie
going
to
through this
her.
pain,
Yo,
and-
bro, I used to lie to her. Say, yo, listen, they got me kidnapped. They say they need $1,000. I used to make up like all type anything to get this drug of choice. And back then it wasn't no Cash App. I gotta go to Western Union. Western Union. And my co-parent, man, we not together or whatever, but I love her to life. Like like she just kept, and she put me in rehab in Arms Acres. Shout out to Arms Acres, upstate New York.
How many kids do you have?
4 children. My son, he's 23. My daughter, 19. My son is 14, and my daughter is 9.
So
So
what
I
was
have.
that process like? Them seeing you go through that.
I miss my daughter. So shout out to my daughter, my oldest daughter, Taya. It was 10 years in my life that I missed with her. The drug addiction. And it's like we never missed a beat to this day. Like she honored me. Like she honors me. But my oldest son, he really didn't feel it too much, but my 2 youngest ones did. They all felt it, but it's like it's just weird
It's
how
levels to it.
it's levels. It's different levels for all of them. My oldest daughter felt it the most, and I used to beat myself up, man, because it's like drug addiction took over me. It wasn't me. I got shot, and it just said, yo, I got you. You are about to be a menace.
You ever seen the movie the series Painkillers?
I didn't. Everybody keep telling me though.
Oh man.
The way
Dope
you
sick
describing
and-
it it sounds like the same.
I didn't see it yet, man.
Yo, listen to me. I've never been on drugs. I have both of my parents was addicted to drugs. My
Wow.
father overdosed when I was 12 years old. My mother, by the grace of God, she cleans herself up after 20
Thank
years.
God.
And she passed away from cancer, but
Okay.
she
Oh, yeah, she did, yeah.
she was drug free. But when I watched this series, right, it was just a regular guy. It's one guy in particular. He was working, he worked he was a mechanic, and he hurt himself, and he was a good family guy, and
He wasn't a mechanic. He owned
he
the
owned it.
mechanic
Yeah, he owned the
shop.
mechanic
Yeah.
shop. He was a good family guy, and he started taking it. And like you said, he felt better. He was like, damn, it's like a super drug. He was working good, and the next thing you
He was
know,
having sex with his wife again
everything he was
because
doing
he hurt
everything.
himself bad.
Yeah, he had injured his spine. Like he
Oh,
fell on
okay, yeah, he
a
couldn't get
rusty
right at all.
nail. Like
Yeah,
it was terrible. And as it goes through, at the end of it, he actually kills it. He overdoses. Like at the end of this thing, and he did everything. Like he went through the withdrawal. He cleaned himself up, and then it was
Had to
like
go
he
back.
could not. Like, and it was like, damn. When I'm listening to you and I'm looking at this, I'm like, damn, that has to be. That has to be the hardest thing in the world. Like, and I can't even imagine something controlling me to that degree. I just
bro.
can't.
And the argument is because we've had the argument again. They didn't know how significant it was. So it's kind of like, all right, you got some shit going on, but it's like anything else, just stop. And I'm like, yeah. And I would get into arguments with the small group of people that I was close to that knew about it because their position was that, okay, I get it, but it's in your mind. Like you just weaken the mind. I'm like, nah, this is something they literally designed a drug, and that's what painkillers and painkillers is on Netflix. Dope Sick is the same story. It shows you that they designed this to make people hyper addictive. That's what they wanted. Like that was the goal.
The thing how you control people is you feed their dopamine. The dopamine must get fed, man. And for weak people like myself at one point in time, I needed it. I needed it so bad that I would have praised those guys, man. Like, thank you. You brought something to my life that's like I can really like love and cherish, even though it's tearing me down, right? Get to the point where that shit just become part of me.
You can say shit on this show. We say shit
It,
and all the words.
it just gets to the point where you get so used to it that it's like, what do you go? Where do you go next? So for me, I started mixing Percocets with the Xannies.
Right. You mix them
And
up.
now you mixing it up, man. At the time, man, I was taking probably like 15 30s a day if I can afford it, and like 12 to 15 Xannies. Because I didn't want. I told you I started taking these drugs for the mental pain now. I ain't got shit. I ain't shit. My life is done. My mother is dead. Everybody is gone. Man, it's over.
Yeah. I am in the process of naming. I think I'm up to like 11. I was taking 20 pills a day. 30s, I didn't go that far because I was afraid it would kill me. But then sometimes I wanted to, just like you, slip out, like it's cool. But 15s, and I was taking, I'm now naming each one of them because I realized that each one of those pills that I swallowed throughout the day had a meaning in my life. Imposter syndrome,
Okay.
past sexual assault,
Okay.
Feeling unworthiness.
Yeah, you start thinking about all of that.
Just all those things. It felt like it was numbing, and we talked about this earlier, but I want to introduce it into this conversation that the Nation of Islam has a saying that perhaps the drug abuser is actually more in tune what's happening in the world than those of us who are not drug abusers. Because every time they wake up from their dopeness or being doped up, they see the world and say, "Oh no, 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 dope me up again. I can't
take
handle
it."
this."
I mean, even like you brought a valid point. I mean, I started taking Percocets for the neglect. I ain't believe in God at one point. It's like, God, why you got me here at a house where I'm being abused? I'm being physically abused over and over and over again. And I have two teenage parents, and it's just like they're on drugs. Like these are the things that's going on in my head, and it's like, okay, now I'm playing back to childhood years.
Right.
From childhood years to, growing up, young adults, and now it's just like, yo, I'm seeing the world, and it's like it's no good for me. This is why I want to die. I gotta die. And that was the reason why I went to rehab, because I kept waking up and I'm like, oh no, maybe I'm a bigger person.
Because you wasn't dying.
I
God,
wasn't
you know what
dying.
I'm saying? You kept saying that, and God was like, nah, you're not gonna die.
Right, and you're not doing it. And then going to rehab, man, January the 21st, 2018, that was the start of the beginning.
It's the start of the beginning.
Yeah, it's just the start of the beginning.
What was that process like?
I wasn't scared anymore. I was more so nervous now.
Nervous, yeah.
So I want to ask one more question before you say that, because they always say, like, I remember when my mother went to rehab, like when she actually, stopped using drugs. Like we had sent her away. She had came back, this and that. And was it a feeling that you just was tired, that you made a decision like, I'm tired of this?
I'm tired because like I said, I kept waking up. I wanted to overdose. I didn't have enough heart to, jump off a roof or put a gun to my head or anything like that and hang myself. So listen, let me take these pills, because I knew I took fake pills. I knew it. Had dope in it, crack in it. I knew it was all types of stuff in it. The goal was to take Percocets, but I'm sure I took millions of fake pills.
Other things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I'm tired. For me, it's over. Right? And once I went in there, now I'm nervous, because I don't know what to expect. And shout out to the guy. I hope he's strong. We shared a room during our first week of.
You never forget those people.
You never forget those people, man. And I'm in a room with a guy. That like smelled like he just came from the sewer. And I said, yeah, I need this. He smelled bad, and I know, yeah, you ain't far removed. And then after my first week of detox, after the first week, and then I finally moved over to rehab. And now you got guys in there that's mandated. You got guys in there that's just looking for a home. You got guys in there that's just like, it was very few of us that really wanted to see that change. And that, I guess the last 3 weeks, it was a beautiful thing, because I didn't want to leave. I mean, I wanted to leave. But I was so far away that once you leave, it's no coming back. And there's no buses that you could catch. There's no, let me hitchhike for a cab. It's none of that. You're done up. It's over. So I said my last 2 weeks, man, I'm just going to create skits. I already had it in my mind what it is that I wanted to do. I'm going to tap into my diamond that I was afraid of. And once I tapped into my diamond, once I got out of rehab, my first week, it was up. I jumped on the internet and it was up from there.
Talk about your diamond. Like, so what is that now? What's the work
how did you
now?
identify it?
Because you already know who you are. Like Jay-Z said, you are who you are before you got here. Whether you got the riches, whether you got whatever it is that you got, you know who you are before you got here. So I knew what I wanted to do, but I was afraid of success. Right? And it's a lot of, when we talk about the young kids, right? A lot of y'all know what y'all want to do. You're just afraid of it. So I knew that I was ready for the world. I just was afraid to tap into it. And I tell people the richest place in the world is the grave, man, because they die with $1 trillion ideas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let the world know I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to let the world know that I was a bad parent. I'm going to let the world know that I was addicted to drugs. I'm going to let the world know that I used to do things because I wanted to be like that guy. I played both sides of the fence. I'm going to be transparent on here because there's no secrets. I know it's somebody suffering just like me. Now, everybody's dead. Your grandmother, your grandfather, your mother, everybody's dead now, and now you got to be the leader. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's somebody out there that's like, yo, thank you. So that's what I did, man. I'm like, yo, I'm going to create skits. I love acting. I'm going to create skits. Because me talking all day, I'm probably not going to get people to gravitate. But let me create these skits, get them to gravitate, and now let me drop the message. And that's what I did, man.
So working with people, if someone, they approach you and they have a issue, they have a problem, What do you do? Like, what's the process of helping them get sober? Because we don't use the word clean. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I tell people this, right? Are you willing to get sober like you were willing to use?
Ooh, that's deep.
Got to reverse it. Because I was willing
energy,
to, I was willing to walk miles for a pill. One that wouldn't do nothing for me.
One pill.
I'm like, Do you have a support system? Yeah, I have an aunt or a mother or a grandma. All right. What if they don't have you for the rest of your life?
And it's
What
just
if you
you.
die? Now that's going to be selfish to them. So how bad do you want to get sober? And once you tell me you want to get sober, I ask, yo, do you have insurance? Because if you got insurance, man, we can go whatever city we in. We can go to a rehabilitation program in that city, and we go from there. I put that on the internet. I've took so many people to rehab. Like I'm with you. I don't get paid for it. I don't have a nonprofit for it because this is the thing here, right? When you stop doing what works, you're gonna 9 times out of 10 start using again. So what works is for me is, yo, you got to help somebody. When you sit back and stop helping people, oh, you think you got it under control. I am not far removed from being a junkie again.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to continue to help somebody to remind me that you're not far removed. I tell a person, your 30 days is better than my 6 years. You did 30 days of being sober?
Yo,
whoa!
Bruh, 2, 3, 4 days is big
What?
time. When you go from
Yo,
when you
my
come
God.
from using all the time and needing it to each day, you just like, yo, this is crazy.
How did you do
This
2
is crazy.
days?
But I tell you one thing: the people who run the program, they knew who I was. They knew I was on the alias. They knew me, so they gave me my dignity as much as they possibly could. I took paper towels and double layered them all over my bathroom. No, I put newspaper and then paper towels all over my bathroom floor. And I had my slippers. And that's how I was living. I was so depressed.
Right.
And I did not take a shower for the entire time that I was on the other side of the house because I was not about to get in that shower with that stuff and that thing, and I didn't have no cleaning products because you can sniff cleaning products and they don't give you that. And I just was going through so much, but I thank God for every second.
Yep.
Because during that time that I was in rehab, that was the most that I could hear I could crystal clear hear the Lord's direction for me, and I kept apologizing to myself. I was apologizing to God. I was apologizing to my son, and all throughout that, I could hear him saying, "Rest, child. Like just lay down, just rest your spirit, rest all these things, because when you come out of this, right, you're going to be more powerful than you can even imagine." And I was going to keep the story to myself, but then I realized it wasn't my story to hold.
Right.
It was God's story.
Right.
It was God's story. How dare you
hold that
this
back?
Story, right? When somebody, there are people in my comment section when I posted about 5 years, and they're saying things about what they went through, and a lot of women, because sleeping is real hard for us when we got to and I think brothers have the same thing, but especially with us as women, when we're trying to figure everything out, care for the family, the man, keep the man, look fine, go to work, do this, that, everything that we're trying to do. Sleeping is very difficult for us. And so there are several people, particularly women, who are telling their stories. And one woman said, I have never talked to one person about this, and I find myself on your page in the comment section telling this story right here, and I never talked to anybody else. But it's because the power of your story can heal.
You know, I don't want to kill you. I want to heal with you. I don't want to kill you. I want to heal with you. And see, the only way we can heal is if somebody be transparent.
That's it.
Right? And I ask people, right, when I talk to the kids, I said, if you discovered a diamond that was worth billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, would you keep it to yourself? Would you tell someone, or you undecided? And most of them say, I keep it to myself, or I'm undecided. The diamond is you. You think the person that's like full of talent, full of a gift, why would you hide that gift when you know you can spread it to the world, man? Our story, this is one of these stories where it's like it's a secret society, man. Because if you don't know what this pain felt like and how we broke through the pain, you would never understand. You would never, ever understand. I tell people, those who were addicted to drugs and got up out of it, man, they probably the strongest people in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a drug that's like controlling, this drugs control everything. Like, listen, if you addicted to drugs, man, don't be ashamed of your story. Be ashamed if there's no ending to your story.
So what is next? What is it that
Yeah, the fact that you don't
know?
get funding, like, right?
Yeah, like you should be.
I mean, I think people are afraid of. Listen, if you don't want the help, fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'm only here to help those. I'm here to tell my story and to help those who are addicted, because people think that drug addiction is cool, or they're in denial. They don't believe that they are on. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not sleeping on a park bench. I'm not selling my body.
Exactly.
I'm not
So
committing
no
crime.
drug addict.
But I'm not.
I
But
just get a little.
I just
high
get a
on it.
little, but this is why when I on my platform, I congratulate those who are celebrities, because it's like, yo, it takes, you gotta dumb it down, man, in order for people to say, oh no, you rich, you got this, you got that. No, that don't mean anything. Drug addiction don't care about your age, your color, where you from. This is why I love all people,
That's right.
because they don't care about who you are. They just want to.
And opioids is taking
And
out
opioids is
everybody.
taking. And I'm wondering, like, yo, why people don't want to rock with me. And I feel like they just don't trust me when it comes down to drug addiction. But then they're going to let these big companies and corporations kind of like say, oh, yeah, fentanyl, leave that alone. And they say, no, leave all of them alone. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to keep talking about it. You know, hopefully don't nobody drug. In the hip-hop world, that's another crazy thing, because, and I don't want to be long-winded, so many of us are dying from drug addiction.
That's a fact.
And it's like,
And some of them are living with drug addiction.
so, yeah, and I'm
barely
talking about
surviving,
it.
and you see it. You can see that it's taking them over, and because they have status and they have money, nobody is actually trying to do anything to help them.
I will go into, Philadelphia has this place called Kensington and Allegheny. It's the worst place in the country, and I'll put my life on that. That's how much I know for a fact. Harlem, that's pretty much almost done. L.A., it's nothing worse than Kensington and Allegheny. There's zombies. The cops sit back and be like, long as don't nobody hurt themselves, like long as nobody die or nobody's fighting, they can shoot up. They're shooting up right in, like, on the block. It's like a whole community. Thousands and thousands of people.
We have to do a part 2 of this conversation, because it is a question: why is there not the support for us?
Because it's not a support for. The thing is, right? I was listening to I just listen to interviews and I listen to narratives, and it's like people they've made this what is the word I want to use? They've come to a conclusion that everything that black people do to help black people is some type of scam,
Right.
or that we're trying to
Right.
get over, right? Like
Even our own people.
Our own people. Like people say, "Oh, I don't want Black Lives Matter to end because somebody said the NAACP doesn't want to end racism because then they can't be funded, right? Then if it ends, and that makes sense in a view, but that's like saying the doctors don't want people not to get healed because if they stop dying, then nobody has a job.
It's gonna always be.
The police don't want crime to stop because if they stop committing crime, then there's no industry in the world that is not going to fund unless the problem exists, right?
Right.
So why do we point out only our people and the shit that benefits us and the people that work toward the benefit and the protection of our people, right? And we do that, and we think it's something wrong that you decide, you know what? I'm a person that's formerly addicted. I want to do something better, and I need to be funded because I can't survive, right? And I can't do any work if I can't survive, right? So we always looking for the bad. If you put up to raise money so you can start your own,
Somebody gonna think
somebody gonna say you trying to scam. But this is what our people. This is what our people have been taught. It's the worst thing, and it's like, damn. You try to get into some shit that can help your people. You come back with knowledge. You have unwilling wisdom about some shit that you actually went through, and you know that you can be a resource. You know that you can help people. But our own people are the biggest adversaries to that.
Post-traumatic slave disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder. The mind, when you walk around with a constipated mind, you just got garbage inside your brain. I don't expect you to be receptive to information if you have a constipated mentality, if you have a poor minded mentality. I don't expect that. People still told on Harriet Tubman,
Even though she was
and that was ago,
yeah.
and it's still going on to this day.
Well, brother, we
We truly
just, I mean,
appreciate you.
really, appreciation is too small of a word, right? Like, I wish I had. And I think from my perspective, I appreciate it even more because I know that I could just hear in you my same story, like exactly what
Right,
I went through, the
right.
feelings, the whole thing, and it's so deep, and it is a secret society. But we're making it not so secret by having platforms where people have been writing to me. I would never have thought. And by the way, I want to say that the support and the amount of folks who've reached out to me from the top who you could think of, people in elected office, celebrities, down to not even down to people who just regular folks, has been overwhelming. Text messages, calls, prayers, love, and support. And even those who make this particular statement, I know that it's not all of them are not coming from a bad place, but they say, I would never have thought, and I want you and people who are out there, people who are listening, to look at yourself, look at your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your cousins, and the pastor,
Huh.
the pastor, the teacher, the
Right,
lawyer, the
right.
lady who's the good lady from the community, and know that yes, you. Yes, they.
You can be
Yes,
affected.
it
Wow.
could also be you. So when you say I would never have thought, think, because it can and it is happening to so many people. And I just, I think this is one of those things. B. McFly. I prefer to go with Brandon, but that I pray that we receive the resources that we deserve to do the work. This is important work. But I also want to say that this is not something we need to, yes, the government should be funding us because they take our money, so they should give it back. But our own people have enough money to fund this type of work that we could do it on our own. And I think that's the conversation and what it's got to be about. And yes, it takes, what does it take?
It takes
Ta-ta-ta-ta-da.
money
Money
and
to do
resources to
anything.
do anything.
I mean, really,
B.
thank you
McFly,
so
you
much.
got to come back.
I listen.
Because you do more than just this.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So we
yeah.
could talk about, your work in totality.
Yo, let's get it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Blessings and love.
Appreciate you, man. Love and loyalty
Love.
always.
Shout out to B McFly, man. It's my brother, man. We met on the internet, but we've connected a few times, and I never knew all of that. Right? I just knew that he was somebody that I seen on the internet, and I loved his message. I loved the passion that he spoke with, and his skits were really, really powerful. And just hearing that and just listen. Pretty much, I just let y'all you actually was getting interviewed. This was even
Well,
though
I
you was
wasn't
interviewing.
getting interviewed.
Well,
I
you
was
actually was
interviewed.
interviewing yourself too, because for real, it was therapeutic watching you and just seeing how passionate you was, and you was telling your story. So I was sitting there. I got me one or two questions, but for
So
the
you
most
saying I
part,
dominated the
no,
conversation?
it was something that you needed to dominate because it's still therapeutic. Like right, every time 5 years. This is 5 years of your sobriety, and you feel empowered, but you also know how you didn't feel strong at a time. You talk about your deepest, darkest moments and how you felt like you were helpless. And like I remember you sitting there telling me I cannot stop taking pills. Like literally looking in my face, and I'm like, what do you mean you can't? And I didn't understand it. And the more and more that you said it, and the more I hear these testimonies, I realize, damn, this is something that I can't possibly even understand. But just to see that you've found the way. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, the reality is, I don't know if I would have been able to do that. I don't know, right? Because I've never been through it. So you don't know if you can overcome something until you've actually done it. And you've actually went through something that a lot of people don't come back from. And, just hearing you speak about it and
It feels
express it.
so good that I can say emphatically, like once I walked into that facility, to that house on March 18th, I never ever took another pill again. Like, whoo, like you don't even understand what that means. Like you said, you never been through it. So to be able to say that and to know it, because before that, I would say, oh, yeah, nah, I'm detoxing. But then I knew I would sneak a pill and do this and do that because that's just the process. But to know that what he said, when B. McFly said that, your 30 days are better than my 6 years. I know what he's talking about because those 30 days, that's the hardest time. That's the hardest part is being able to keep going for 30 days. So by the time you get to 6 years, it's
It's becoming,
natural
yes,
to you.
it's
5 years later, it's a thing of the
it's a
past.
habit.
It's something that, you think
It's
about
routine at that
as
point.
like, oh, wow, right, that's so far away. When that happened over there 30 days ago, it's like, yo,
I'm still
can
on
I even make it 31 days? Can I make it 30 days and an hour? Right? It's really tough. And so to be able to say that and to know that there ain't nobody that it ain't nobody with a script around the corner like, nah. Remember
that
you
script.
text
Them
me
people had that
on
script.
March
Yeah,
2020
you said you
and
had
you
a
said
script.
you
You said you
needed
had this.
Nah, that's not a thing. And I'm
Yeah.
so proud of myself, but I know for a fact there's somebody.
That's going through it right now, and they need to hear you. And like you said, that lady wrote in your comments that she had never shared it with anybody, and we just have powers to be able to move people in different ways. And the fact that she wanted to share that with you, whatever you said or did or whatever it was able to move her and hopefully move her to do something to help herself. So,
No, she's sober.
oh, she's sober
But
now.
she said she got sober and
So
never told
never told
anybody
nobody.
about it. And now she's like, yo, I'm on internet. She gave off, which I didn't even click a page or anything. She gave off a woman of our age, right? Just like, I ain't never
I ain't
told
into that internet shit,
nobody
but I'm on it.
anything, but I'm over
But it
here
moved
on
her.
this internet, on this, she said, on
And
this
she
app.
might have needed to tell somebody because it might have saved somebody's life. So shout out to you, shout out to B McFly for for overcoming the odds and being examples of what it is when you decide mentally that you're going to win and you're going to overcome something. So shout out to y'all. So on a different note, I wouldn't say a lighter note, but on a different note, I don't get it today. But today's I don't get it is a two-prong I don't get it. Because I know I don't want to get killed or stabbed up by nobody. So I wanted to give a question to both men and women who actually engage in this behavior. I need to know, why do women have babies with men that don't want to have babies? That's the first part. But I also don't get, why do men have unprotected sex with women that they don't want to have children with? Right? So it's a two-pronged question. You saying you don't want to have a baby, you saying this and that, and you know you don't, but you still continue to have unprotected sex with this woman, knowing that the possibility exists for her to have a baby. And you know that she wants to have a baby. So I don't understand neither one of these mentalities at all. I wish somebody would give me an understanding of how it even makes any level of sense, because it's probably the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
But maybe you shouldn't have sex. Because what if there's
So,
an accident? Like, what if you told a woman, I don't want to have children, and then she gets pregnant by accident? You can't go telling people that they have to have an abortion,
you don't. You can have the baby, but the thing is, the problem is you're having an expectation of somebody that you shouldn't have an expectation
Well,
of.
no, but if I did not try to get, we both made a decision. We know sex makes babies.
Yeah,
right?
we know that.
We know that. We know that the whole.
But there's some
point
people that
of sex,
are irresponsible. They're
but
just
listen,
naturally
but we
irresponsible.
know that the whole point of sex, right? It was, yes, there was the part about a pleasure.
Yes,
it was pleasure.
The whole point of
But
sex
the main
is
part
pleasure.
of sex, no, it is reproduction.
If you think
is,
that's what you think.
No, I'm talking about
Most people in the world
that's
use
not
sex.
what I'm saying. I'm not talking about why
they want pleasure. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying that it cannot, that it does not benefit the pleasure purpose.
Okay.
I'm saying that the organs and the actual practice of it procreation is at the heart of what you supposed to do when you have
Intercourse.
sex, right? So intercourse, right? It's supposed to be about procreation. Okay, so now you have a baby, you have sex with somebody, and they tell you, I do not want to have kids.
That's right.
So the next question, one would think, would be, do you want to have kids? Right? Because if you want to have kids, even if we about to use a condom, I know that the chances that the condom could break or there could be an incident. So if you're not one of those people who are willing to have an abortion, and you might, some people want to have an abortion, but they might find out too late, and or their bodies can't handle it for whatever reason.
Or
They
you
don't
live in
find that
Texas.
out. Well, no, now politically you can't do it you can go to jail. But I'm saying that there are people who literally, with the ability to get an abortion, they cannot do it.
I get it.
Because of their whatever, right? Their physical condition. So I'm not even talking about unprotected sex. The question still is out there. If that person says, yes, I want to, no, I'm not willing to go in the back alley and get a hanger up me or whatever, why then should you still be held accountable for that child, at least financially?
I think for me, right, that as a man, I'm always going to be held accountable for any creation that I make, right? But I'm a responsible individual. Like that is a decision that I made, that if I make a baby, regardless of how it's made, that is my child, and I'm going to do everything possible to support, love, and be a father to my child. But I also, being devil's advocate and just giving you another perspective, I know men that just don't want anything to do with it. They don't have, they're not stable at all. They don't claim anything. I know men that just literally just move around. They don't have any goals or aspirations to be fathers to children, right? And they live their life. And when the relationship with the woman is gone, the relationship, and especially if they never wanted to have the child, then they are completely fine with having absolutely no relationship with a child. There are men that are like that.
I want you to know.
There are a bunch of men like that.
I just want you to know,
And
I'm going to let you just finish it up, that my mother used to tell my cousins, the men in our family, and I'm sure she got this from my grandmother, that having sex is extremely expensive. It's probably the most expensive decision you will ever make in your life, because you can catch STDs, some that you can never get rid of, and you can make a responsibility, bring something into the world that you may not be prepared to take care of. So I hope that as men, our brothers are out there educating. We're helping our younger brothers to know it's expensive. It's like they say, dating, you can't just date. Like, dating costs money. It costs money to date somebody. It costs money and mental health stuff, whatever you want to call that. I hope they're saying it's expensive, but I hope that our young brothers are also understanding it's not just the pleasure principle. It is actually an act that should result in the procreation, so that we as a race, a human race, can continue to grow and blossom and to multiply. So when you start putting that shit in that language, then people should get a different understanding. When you lay down with somebody, you're not just laying down with them so you could feel good, so you could get your ejaculation, whatever. You are actually laying down in a spiritual experience.
ain't nobody listening to that.
Bruh, but it's not that ain't nobody listening to it. It's that it's not really being taught.
No,
because I heard Minister Farrakhan say it one day, and
that.
it blew my mind.
And I love the minister.
I was told don't have
sex. And I love the minister.
That's
to death,
it.
Right? But the average person that's been having sex, right? They don't see the soul.
Right, but I'm saying that's something that's being taught.
No, but I hear what you're saying, and I'm trying to tell you that the average reality of that we deal with on a basic human level, that's just not everybody's reality. And there are people who don't give a fuck. This is what I'm trying to say.
No, they do give too many fucks. That's the problem.
They give fucks, but they don't give a fuck. That was a good one. But there are people who really don't care about principle.
They never even heard that.
No,
is what I'm trying to tell you.
And there's some people that they just don't. It just doesn't align with them, and they've made up their mind that they don't care about certain things. So what I'm trying to say is, I want us all to be proactive and not reactive. I want women to stop giving your bodies to men who say they don't want to have children when you want to have children that might impregnate you. Stop having unprotected sex with these men. Stop expecting them to be men when they haven't shown you or told you that they will be men. Men, stop having sex with women unprotected that you don't want to be fathers
or
to your children.
protected.
Or just stop having sex. No, but that's not really true.
But protection does not guarantee a person won't get pregnant.
But you're taking the necessary precautions, right? So I can't.
But once you have a baby, then that's it.
But once you have a baby, what I'm trying to say is it is it. But once we've had a baby and we've had a baby through accident, right? And I didn't purposely do something, and you made a decision that you're having a baby, and you're not in a situation where you can't have a baby, and you made that decision that you want to have that baby. Even though I personally would never say that, but I can't.
You would never abandon
a child. But I can't call a man at fault. It's just like,
what you mean you can't?
It's like,
don't do that.
So can I ask you a question?
No, we not.
So
that
that comes. You know what that comes to?
No.
So that if she's impregnated with a baby, because this is the argument they have. If she's impregnated with a baby she does not want to have, she gonna get rid of that baby, right?
Well, some people don't. There's a lot of people that don't.
But more often than not.
No, it's not. That's not true.
More often than not, if a woman does not want to have a baby, she does not have a baby.
Excuse me, let me lay down some facts so you can know. Okay? The statistics are that more women have children they don't want. Okay? Abortion is actually
more women have children they don't want.
More women have children they do not want than those who have abortions. One, we don't always have the resources because of shame and, yes, because of rape and other incidents that you were unable to navigate. You have a lot of women, my son, a lot of times the way that you see the world, you think of it as we are elitist in our experiences because we live in the North. We live in New York. We live in a place where Planned Parenthood is right there, the other clinic, to this place, to that place. You know all the clinics. We've been to some of them. I'm sure you done sat in some of them. I shouldn't put your business. You never went to take a woman or pick a woman up from having an abortion. No. You just low life. I'm just messing with you. Let her go by herself.
No, I've never got a woman to have. I don't have.
So then that's a beautiful thing. I was being funny, but on the serious side, when you live in a community that doesn't have a clinic, or the clinic is killing people, or you have to have money, you don't have insurance, you don't have health insurance, or you can't get a hold of the health insurance card because your parents keep it locked away. You have the baby that you don't necessarily want. Sometimes family members will force you because of the religious beliefs of your mother, your grandmother, whomever, and they tell you, we don't do abortions. So you get pregnant and you end up with a child. There are more stories like that than people who have abortions. I get your point that a woman has that option, or used to in some places. But I'm just saying, just know that there are more people who have children that they don't want and they have to take care of them. Our community, and especially our men, should hold responsible any man who has a child on this earth that they do not do something to contribute to their lives.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm trying to say, even if I personally, but I don't see them at fault. I just don't. If you take all the necessary precautions, if you take all of the necessary precautions not to have a child,
my son.
I don't understand what you mean.
I'm getting ready to tell you. If you have sex, you have not taken all of the necessary precautions.
So every time that somebody's had sex, they should want to have a child.
No, it's not want. I didn't say anything about that.
They should be prepared to have a child.
Absolutely. Because what you just said is that
but I don't even think that's realistic, though.
No, it is realistic.
It's not realistic.
Let me tell you what's so realistic about it. Because because we are on a hot mic. And what we say here goes into the world.
And I'm being honest about a real conversation.
You say that you need to take every necessary precaution not to have a child, that you cannot hold the person at fault. You are not being that
fault
is
and
lacking.
Responsible is different.
No, you said I cannot hold them at fault. Those were your words.
Yeah, exactly. So but I do think he should be responsible.
So no. You said I cannot hold them at fault.
So
what I am saying to you is that it is an incomplete thought. What you said here is that if you have taken every possible precaution.
Yeah.
So now if we write down a list of precautions of not getting pregnant, because they don't have no world where you can get pregnant by the air blowing on you. Understanding that not having sex is the first way not to have kids.
But everybody knows that.
Okay, so once we know that, then as a community, if a person made that step and they did have sex, which means they didn't take the first precaution, and you have a child, it should be condemnation that you don't take care of that child.
But it doesn't matter to some people.
Condemnation.
But you still act like you can't condemn nobody that don't give a fuck about
any
somebody.
man or woman. I don't care.
I hear what you're trying to say.
If you lay down,
so do you condemn the woman that has abortion?
No.
But you don't. So why?
No. What are you talking about? I'm talking about a living child that's walking around the earth without food, water, and clothes.
Are you condemning a woman who made a decision that I don't want to have this baby? I don't want nothing to do with this baby. The man wants the baby, and she says, no, I don't want the baby, and she gets rid of the baby. Do you condemn her?
No, I do not condemn her. I do not condemn her, but I will tell you this much. I absolutely condemn any person because, by the way, you told me the other day, there's no way that the average woman is stronger than a man.
Physically.
So if you fit physically, there's no way physically that the average woman, not all women, but the average woman is stronger than a man. Yeah. That means that if I get into a fight with a man and I hit him or do something to him and he beats me up, I put myself in a situation because I already know that for the most part, I cannot beat that man.
That's a fact.
So if you have sex with a woman as a man, you are putting yourself in a situation that you cannot control.
But it don't mean that you're not going to get beat up.
It's her body.
But I hear what
her body.
But I hear what you say, but just like, and I'm telling you, just like you saying, she knows she can't beat the man. It don't stop him from fucking you up if he don't give a fuck whether you can beat him or not. Just like it don't matter that you care. You condemning a nigga that don't want a baby.
And that's me.
It doesn't matter.
I'm saying our community.
He don't care. The community don't give a fuck.
Community,
These
that's
niggas
not true that the
is a bunch of deadbeat niggas running around here all day, and they look around.
His mindset's like yours when you tell them
it's
that
not.
You don't hold them at fault. I hold them at fault. No. I call court
I live
today,
by example.
And I'm giving the judgment
no
in
nigga
the court.
Around,
I'm the judge and the jury and the motherfucking executioner. If you don't take care of a child that you laid down to make, you ain't shit.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, you can say that, but some people don't care about not being shit. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to tell you, it is niggas that is piece of shits, and they all they are so comfortable being pieces of shit. So, with that said, another episode. Somebody's gonna be wrong. Somebody's gonna be right. She ain't gonna never be wrong, but it is what it is.
Whatever.
We love y'all. TMI. Tune in. Keep on tuning in. #1 show in the world.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it. That's how we own it. Oh, that's how we own it.
Check out the video version of TMI
every single Wednesday on iWoman.tv.
That's how we own it.